Okay, welcome back. This is Andy from the English Watch. What we're going to do today is we're going to take a little look at Breitling and IWC, look at some of their releases from 2021. We're not going to talk about Rolex, not going to talk about Tudor. I fixed the audio issue. I think I had two audio channels open at the same time, which is why there was a bit of an echo in the other videos. But needless to say, please check them out. You can see them here. I've got some old videos and I've got my reaction videos as well. Again, apologies for the sound, but go in there, engage, let me know what you think. But anyway, let's get into the credits and we'll come back and talk about Breitling first. Okay, so here we are. This is the Breitling website, and you can see already at the top they've got their new releases. Now, Breitling's a bit of a curiosity for me because I don't know much about the brand. I know people that have owned Breitlings and I know people that sort of desire Breitlings. And when I go into my local dealership, I go and talk about Amiga and some of the other brands I'm interested in, we talk about Breitling, and the guy says to me that people that come in looking for Breitlings come in just for Breitling. They tend not to browse for anything else. They come in, that's the brand they want, that's what they look for. So that's clearly not me because I like to sort of spread myself around a little bit, and I'm trying to experience different brands at different times. So let's just go and have a look. So I've gone into the website a few times, and do you know what? I get a bit confused in terms of what Breitling is and what it's trying to offer. So let's try first to find a good entry point. So let's click up here, look at watches. If it works, here we go. Right, so do we want Brad Pitt or do we want Charlize Theron? Well, we know what you'd rather have, but we're going to have to click with Brad because I think he's wearing the watches that we might want to wear, sorry. Right, so men, watches for men. That's what we want, isn't it? Big watches for men, Breitling, big watches. So we've got the Premier range. So in the 1940s, Breitling launched the original Premier, watches dedicated to everyday elegance. Now the new Premier collection introduces models whose elegance is worthy of their historic name and whose quality, performance and design DNA are pure Breitling. Okay, so this is probably a good place to start. Now Breitling is all about chronographs, isn't it, when you think about it? They don't tend to do dainty watches, they don't tend to do dressier watches. Certainly not in the men's range anyway. So we'll come back to these top ones in a second because there's some very interesting pieces in there. So we've got the Premier, which look pretty good to me. They look like classic. If you're going to have a Speedmaster or a Zenith El Primero alternative, clean bezel, easy to read dial, fantastic. Now Chronomat, it's another chronograph. I don't understand it. I don't like this traditional bezel with the, I don't know, what do you call these castellations around. I've tried this green one on before. It was interesting, a bit heavy. Didn't really like the bracelet. I know some people love it. And I thought the overall dial finish was a little bit too fussy for me, if I'm honest. Right, more results. So more chronomats. Right, Super Ocean Heritage. So that's clearly a dive watch. Breitling obviously got, their air and sea, aren't they? So 60-year legacy of Breitling dive watches. And these are obviously 1957 inspired. So obviously got the heritage. Interesting. Now there are other dive watches. Right, professional. So professional watches, I guess worn by sportsmen. I think these are the plastic ones, the endurance. So £2,500. And then the aerospace is probably the one that I'm more familiar with, which is the Annie Digi, which is very similar to the X33 Omega. So worn by Harrison Ford and other famous individuals who like to fly. Good looking watch that as well, very high quality precision quartz movement. Then you got these famous emergencies. So if you pull the pin out, you have to pay umpteen £1,000 to stand down the emergency services. What else we got in here? See more. Okay, so this is just the range of professional models they've got there. Right, let's go back. Avenger. Now the Avenger to me looks dated. Looks very 80s, 90s. It's all bulk and bezel, and the dial is quite small. And again, it's got this castellation which I don't like. It's got bits sticking out of it. I don't know who buys this watch. I don't like it. It's not for me. No disrespect to anyone that has that and likes it. Who am I to tell you what you should or shouldn't like? Okay, so the Navitime. This is obviously the most famous watch. Now I'm surprised this isn't further up the list Navitimer from 1952, so 65 years old. And I guess this sort of style, with the slide rule bezel, is very much in keeping with the original. And I do like the Navitimer. It's probably too fussy for me. I wouldn't ever buy one, but I do appreciate it. And the price, £6,000, that matches the Speedmaster now, doesn't it? With the sapphire crystal. Okay, more. Superation again, so not the Heritage. So this is the Superation, and I'm assuming 48 means 48mm. Let's have a quick look, which must mean it's a massive watch. Dimensions. 48mm. I mean, you can wear a 48mm watch. That's ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, that's like Big Pilot. You'll get to that in a minute. I imagine these are going to be worn by people that are actually diving, so they want the big legibility, although the dial isn't that big. Yeah, the contrast on the dial isn't that great. I don't know. Not for me. Right, let's get back. Okay, Aviator. Watches in the Aviator 8 family. The bold new face of the iconic collection. Pump pushers, like pistons off an engine. I don't know. I don't like them. Not for me. Too much money as well, if you're asking me. Okay. These are looking a bit like, I don't know, Hamiltons or something. You can get equivalent watches for a lot less, I think. Right, so let's scoot back to the top. Right back to the top. Come on, there's so many chronographs to get back. Here we go. So, what took my fancy? So, the Tourbillon, interesting. £40,000. Let's have a quick look. Fussy. All this, it's unnecessary. It's basically obliterating the 11 o'clock to the 1 o'clock. I don't see the point of that, really. The Tourbillon doesn't look that special. I'm sure it's very accomplished. You've got a bit of depth there, I suppose, between the dial and the inside, the movement. But, nah, it's not for me. Right. Okay, so what did take my fancy? And you'll see why in a minute. Now, you've got this Panda dial here. So that one looks okay. I don't think that was a new one. I think that was out before. But again, this one very similar to the Tudor for half the price with that Panda dial. And again, for the money, you can get an El Primero. Not taking anything away from this chronograph, because it's got the B01 movement, I guess, which is the in-house Breitling movement. So this one here, the Premier B25 Datora 42. So does that 42mm watch? Let's just have a quick look. 42mm, so similar size to the Speedmaster, but it's got this, is it salmon? They're calling it copper. It's not quite salmon, is it? And this dial face, very reminiscent of the Patek Philippe, the 5270p. Now, I don't know how much this is. They're not going to tell us on here how much it is, but I expect it's 50,000. I don't know. I don't know how much it is. Very expensive. But is this a homage watch to that Patek? Well, it's got moon phase, it's got the calendar. This one is a perpetual calendar, so it knows it's a leap year. This one isn't. I don't even think it's an annual calendar. I suspect very much like the JLC master calendar, you're going to have to reset this most months, so it won't know it's the 30th or the 31st. It won't know it's February, for example, even though the date comes up there. It might be, but it's not entirely clear. Day, date, month, and moon phase. It's not entirely clear. It doesn't leap out and say, hey, I'm an annual calendar. But anyway, needless to say, I think this watch is pretty smart. I like that. 10,000 quid. Very similar to, if we quickly look up JLC Master Control. let's go to the actual website. Master Control Chronograph Calendar. That's the equivalent, isn't it? I guess Chronograph Calendar. So JLC, this one's 13.6. Let's have a look. This one's 9. So I guess value-wise, you know, is that movement better than the JLC movement? It's probably on a par. Probably on a par. This is a 40mm though, so this one's a bit smaller. Bit more traditional in its design, very very clean, very nice. In fact, I do prefer this one, but I think this dial colour with the contrast of the hands, I quite like that. The moon with the, what was that, moustache or big lips? I'm not too sure. This has just got a nice little button moon. I think I prefer the button moon than the mustachioed. It almost looks like the Guy Fawkes, doesn't it? With the moustache and the little beard. If he had the funny hat on, then he'd be there, wouldn't he? I'm sure we could draw that in. But I like that. I like that. Right, let's go back. What else have we got? So a green dial 40. So this is a 40mm. Pistachio green, and as what it Mater said in Cars, yeah, avoid the pistachio ice cream. It has turned. For those with kids. Yes, I don't like this. Is it like minty? It's like yeah, pistachio. If you like pistachios and green dials, actually, if you like green dials, you might not like this green. I don't like this green. There are better green dials to be had. Again, we'll see that in a minute. Blue dial. This one looks like a split chronograph here. It's a 42mm. It's got 2 hands, so duograph 42. Paying homage to 3 generations of inventors. Okay. Doesn't really say. 7,700. So movement, mechanical hand wound. They don't really tell you what the flipping complication is, but it's got obviously a start-stop button up here. Then there's another one on the crown. So this is obviously the reset. So it's obviously and I forget the technical term, but it's a split chronograph hand. So you can have, it's like having the lap time, isn't it, on a digital stopwatch. Something you would see on again, JLC or a Lange or something like that. Interesting. Yes, a lot of complication for 7,700. So that's not too bad. 42mm again. So Breitling, I think, if I was going to get one, don't hold your breath. I think the Premier range, would be the way to go for me. It's a nice high-res pictures. So the Premier, and I would be going for this one. I think that's quite a nice look, and I think some people would give it a double take and think it was the Patek Philippe. You never know. Anyway, back to the next brand. So IWC. Now I went to Schaffhausen last year and I went to the IWC museum and had a good look around, and for someone that didn't really have a great deal of time for IWC, I found myself drawn in. IWC's got a very great history in terms of the way that they brought American watch manufacturing techniques over to Switzerland. Don't ask me the year, but from the American railways, because they made a lot of precision timepieces en masse, and I think some of those techniques came back and helped Switzerland develop their mass production techniques in watches. So I'm sure look it up, someone will say it better than me. And I think actually within the IWC website, and there is an app as well that we downloaded the app there, it talks you through all of it. So it's pretty impressive. And when you see the some of the older watches on the wall, like the Big Pilot, like the Portuguese, you can see that the very early versions of those watches, the DNA is followed all the way through. So IWC have stayed pretty close to their roots, and I know that some people have knocked them for using Sellita movements or non-in-house, but I think where they've gone now in terms of smaller designs, more in-house movements, really, really good prices. I think IWC is very well worth a look. So let's have a look ourselves. Now I tried the big Pilot on last year when I went there, and it was is it 46mm? It looked ridiculously massive on my wrist, absolutely ridiculous. It was a fantastic watch, but I just couldn't wear it. Now this one, I believe is 43mm. So 43mm is the same size as the Planet Ocean. Now the Planet Ocean does have the benefit of having a dive bezel around it, so you don't have a massive dial. This thing is all dial. Interestingly, there's a lady watching there. That's that's too big for her, isn't it? This guy, I think he's pulling it off quite nicely. And this is it's time only, no date. I think the old one had a date at the 6 o'clock, and there was a version that had the power reserve at the 3 o'clock or the running seconds, I can't remember. But 7,200 for that. I guess when you look at it in terms of, is that good value relative to a Rolex? What's the equivalent Rolex of that size? I don't know, there isn't one, is there? But an Air King or a Milgauss, they're about the £6,000 mark. I expect this is a much better movement inside. It's an iconic looking watch. I think it's probably a bit too dear, but I think I'm probably giving the movement a disservice. So 60-hour power reserve, IWC caliber movement, self-winding. I don't know if it's got a clear case back. It does have a clear case back. It's a shame you can't zoom in anymore, but the movement does look pretty well decorated. That's quite a nice movement to look at. So that's an interesting one. Let's go back. One I look forward to trying now. The other thing about what IWC have done is this new, I don't know if it pops out anywhere, the new strap changing system. So the bracelets, because I think they're from the same, is it LVMH? Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but they're from the same group as Cartier. And where Cartier have the each individual link around the bracelet, you push in, so you can just see these little buttons, if you like, on each link, and a pin pops out and you can change each link and size the bracelet itself. But this has also got the quick release off the spring bar. And again, I think Hublot, the same, I say Cartier, they're all from the same umbrella company. And you can see here that you just sort of clip this off the spring bars. Now the spring bars are traditional, so it means they don't have to change the watch head itself. Something Omega, come on, bring it onto that Planet Ocean. I know you're going to do it. Anyway, so let's have a look at, there's this one, which one is this? There's a shock absorber watch. All the websites are a little bit slow at the moment. There it is. This is a bit of an oddball, as is the website that's far too clever for its own good. This looks like the watch movement and dial is held within some sort of weird shock absorber. I don't understand that at all. I think that's one of those things that they do because they can, rather than the fact that anyone's ever going to buy it. So it's a bit of inventions for invention's sake, if you like. Right, now this is the one that has taken my fancy. Look, that's that quick release system. This is the new Pilot watch, so Pilot Chronograph. So 41mm. These were much bigger. Again, I can't remember the exact size, but if we go into the website in a second, then we might be able to see. Discover Pilot's watch. That's just my mother checking up on me. Hope yours does the same. Right, okay, so we've got a green dial and we've got a blue dial, and I think that's it. Yes, green dial and blue dial. Now I like the blue dial. The green dial's okay, but I like the blue dial. This is £6,500, which I think is a really good value. Really good value. Let's have a look at those premiers again. They're going to make us £6,000 for the Premier, 6,500 for the bracelet version of this. The strap version is a bit cheaper, 5,850. So that's pretty good. Yeah, it's got day date, and I think the combination I'd get is I would get the blue on the stainless steel bracelet, and then I would get the brown strap. I'd say, hey, I want one of those. Not 10-15% off, and give me a spare strap. I don't think that'll wash just yet, because they'll go, oh, I'm sorry, sir, you know, these are just fresh in, you know. Give it 6 months, and they'll be, they'll be begging to knock some money off the top. I hope. So I like that. So what are my watch goals in the future? So I've got 2 dive watches. I've got the Planet Ocean, I've got the Submariner, I've got the GMT, Tudor GMT, and I've got the Speedy Headlight. So I fancy a new chronograph, but an everyday chronograph with a date on it. And El Primero, that's one on the list. You've got IWC, this one here, and maybe that Breitling Pro. So there's a few watches now coming into my radar that could float my boat. Anyway, not wishing to bore you a second longer, that was my quick rundown of Breitling and IWC watches. Go and have a look yourself. There's some great stuff on there. It's not all about Rolex and Tudor. But also check out my other videos, like I showed you before, on the side. Thumbs up if you like this. Hopefully I'll fix the audio. Take care, and I'll see you soon. And keep watching. Thanks for listening to my rambling. Bye for now.